Hello, my name is Lucas, this is a bit of lit, and I'm here to talk about The Sympathizer, which is a novel by Viet Nguyen, and has won the Pulitzer Prize, as well as has the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction, both well deserved. This is a fantastic novel. I believe it came out in 2015, maybe 2016, 2015, and really blew me away. Uh, The Sympathizer is a story of a North Vietnamese spy who works under a Southern Vietnamese military officer and escapes after the fall of Saigon to America, Los Angeles in this case. And he works there still as a spy, relaying messages through secret codes. And my goodness, just my goodness, this is a thrilling, wild ride on every page. The section where they're in Vietnam at the end shows the absolute horrors of war and, makes it clear just how guilty America is of what it has done, certainly throughout the whole novel, really. By the end, when the main character returns after North Vietnam has won and is rebuilding, does show that Vietnam can fuck itself just fine. Doesn't need America or France to do that. But anyway, the beginning part shows the horrors of war, and then he goes to Los Angeles and meets Sophia Mori, Miss Mori, a Japanese-American woman, and just lives his life in Los Angeles and finds some common pleasures in American life and in American culture, but also recognizes how out of place he is, or how out of place he's made to feel, which even when he was at home, he also felt that way, but for different reasons. Our main character is a bastard child of a young Vietnamese woman and the French, much older French priest that seduced her. And so, because he is half white and half Vietnamese, of course, he looks different than the Vietnamese and isn't quite accepted the same way. But in America, even though he speaks perfect, accentless English, he is still seen as other, as part of the yellow peril, so to speak, and, looked down upon, and these kind of things. And it makes some very sharp observations that I have seen a lot of on Twitter from Asian American Twitter users, these kind of criticisms about how Asian Americans are treated is in here, full force, anger, frustration, rage, all that, and many other things too that I don't just see on Twitter, but certainly in that sense, I have seen, how much these kinds of things resonate, and I think it speaks a lot of truth to power in that sense, and is upsetting that it is that way, but really well done, and sort of eye-opening, I suppose. And yeah, I just think it's a really, really incredible novel. This edition has an interview and a little essay by the author, and his acknowledgments, of course. I think it's a really incredible story. Of course, it won the Pulitzer Prize, so I you know, and it was a New York Times bestseller. I think the most interesting thing to me is that I had read about 100 pages of this before. I was so enthralled by it that I didn't even realize that it doesn't use quotation marks, or very, very sparingly, just for very specific things. But yeah, I just found some quotation marks here, but I didn't even realize that because I was just so enamored, and I didn't have any difficulty following along with what was going on despite the lack of quotation marks. But I'm not sure what the purpose of that was for, but when I finally realized, wait a second, I haven't seen quotation marks and people are talking right now. When it finally dawned on me, I was quite curious why that is, what it's trying to do, what it's trying to say. But yeah, really great story about somebody who's kind of trapped in two identities, between two countries, between allegiances, friends, and all different kinds of things, and makes a lot of astute observations about everything. I think my favorite part is when he's working on the movie, when he goes to the Philippines and he's working with the movie director tour, who absolutely doesn't want to listen. I think that frustration that comes out of the main character, who can only take, you know, some mild comfort in the fact that he worked hard to have better representation of his people in this movie. He actually got some speaking parts, and the characters actually got to say things that they would actually say as Vietnamese, rather than just be somebody to be shot at, and kind of like window dressing and that kind of thing. But he, you know, no matter how hard he pushed, the dominant culture is going to whitewash all of that. And I think that was a really powerful part of it. It's quite difficult when he does return because he has to be re-educated, and he is witness to the horrifying rape of another agent by 3 police, and that's sort of the, you know, condemnation of Vietnam fucking itself not needing America and France. There's still some big problems at that time period in Vietnam, and after, you know, the North Vietnamese won, you know, that kind of thing. That was very difficult to read, but yeah, great novel. What did you think? Let me know.